Hi, welcome to another music theory video. This is my second video in this series on chords. If you haven't seen my previous video on chords in a major key, go check out that. There should be a link nearby. This one's focusing on chords in a minor key, and there's some differences in the chord types that you have when you're dealing with a minor key. To be successful with this video, the skills that you should be able to have in order to be able to do this would be knowing your treble clef notes, so know your lines and spaces in the treble clef rather confidently, and also be able to notate your harmonic minor scale. If you can do those two things, definitely continue on. If you're not too good with your harmonic minor scale, check out the video. There should be a link for that one around nearby as well. If you're fine with all those things, let's continue with this video. So here, building chords in the minor scale. Okay, so we're going to build chords on each one of these, but first we're going to construct the chord. So we're using here the A harmonic minor scale as our example here. So I've got my notes from A to A, and you have a raised seventh being the G sharp. So to do this, we need to understand how to construct a chord. So we're going to use a basic formula of the first note, which is our A, the third note, which would be A, B, C, and then the fifth note would be A, B, C, D, E. So they're going to be the three degrees of this scale that we're going to use to construct most of our chords here. So the next thing we've got to think about is a few more bits of information. So what is the chord type? What scale degree are we building this chord on? And then we're going to use the first, third, and fifth. So in our example here, we're building our first chord type being an A minor chord. And then our first note we had was the A, so let's put that in. The third degree was the C, so let's put that in. Okay. The fifth degree was the next one, and that was the E, so let's put that in. So now we've been able to notate our A minor chord by using our harmonic minor scale. Okay, when you're using the notes straight out of that scale. Let's keep going with another example. So here we're building chord types in a minor key, continuing with that. So the first thing we're going to be thinking about this one is relating things to the scale degrees, and what chord types you can have on each of those scale degrees. So let's put our scale in. We're going to continue with the A harmonic minor scale as our example. So I've got these letter names in from that scale, remembering my raised seventh there being the G sharp. Now if we number all of these like that, that's our scale degrees. So with each one of these numbers, whenever you refer to the B note in an A minor scale, that's always the second degree. Whenever you talk about the note D, it's always the fourth degree. Okay, the G sharp's always the seventh degree. So this is just a numbering system that's well known when dealing with all your scales. Now on our first degree, we're going to be creating a chord type, and we've found that before as being our minor chord. When we build a chord on the second degree, it would be a diminished chord. When we build a chord on the third degree, it'll be augmented. The fourth degree will have minor. The fifth degree will be a major chord. The sixth degree, another major chord. The seventh degree, another diminished chord, finishing with our minor chord a little bit higher on the octave there. Okay, so this pattern's worth memorizing, having your minor, diminished, augmented, minor, major, major, diminished, minor. This pattern you'd be using with any harmonic minor scale to create these chord types. Let's continue. So let's build these chords in this A harmonic minor key. Okay, so in this diagram I've already put in the scale with the chord terms that go with those, remembering to take notice of our seventh that happens to be raised, that's outside of the normal minor key signature. So when we filled this out in the other diagram, we had our first being the A, so let's put that in there. The third was A, B, C, so let's put that in there. The fifth was A, B, C, D, E. Let's put that E letter in there as being the fifth. Now before we just discussed that the B diminished was the second degree, so we're going to put that in as our first note. And then our third from B would be B, C, D, so we put that in there. Our fifth from B would be B, C, D, E, F. So F would be our fifth letter name. And you're noticing I'm using the letters straight out of our A harmonic minor scale. Now we come to the C augmented. So we've got to use C as our first degree. For this particular chord, we're building on the third scale degree. Hopefully that makes sense. So after C, we put our third, so C, D, E. So we put that in there. And then we put in our fifth, so C, D, E, F, G sharp. So make sure you're thinking about your G sharps when building these chords. So we put that in there, and that creates that augmented chord that we've got notated here. Next, we're building our D minor chord. So we need our D as our root note or our first. Then we're going to be putting in our third, so D, E, F. And then our fifth, D, E, F, G, A. Okay. Next, we've got our E major chords. Let's put in our E. Our third, E, F, G sharp. And our fifth, E, F, G, A, B would be our fifth. Okay. Then we end up with our F major with the F as the first note, the A as the third, and then F, G, A, B, C would be our fifth. Our seventh chord, again, we've got our G sharp this time, so don't forget to use your whatever accidentals or key signature notes that you need. So we've got our G sharp, our third, so G, A, B, our fifth, G, A, B, C, D, and then we've got that one. And then our last chord, we're going to finish with the same letter names, our A, our third above that's the C, and our fifth above that is the E. Okay, so hopefully this has helped you understand how to build these chords using a chord grid. Down here you can see I've built the chords all the same, so they're in this stack, and we call this type of stack of chords in root position. You could actually rearrange these notes, so you could have the D note at the top. It would still be a D minor chord, but it would just be a different inversion of that particular chord. That's a whole other lesson. Let's look at this in a different chord grid, but with a different scale. So let's look at the G harmonic minor scale this time. So in the G harmonic minor scale, we've got B flat and E flat, and the F gets changed to an F sharp to make it harmonic. Okay, so back to our first here, we need our G minor chord needs to start on a G. The third from that, so G, A, B flat, making sure you're using the notes from the key signature. And then our fifth, G, A, B flat, C, D. On our second degree, we have our diminished chord. In this case, it's going to be an A diminished chord, so we need the A as the first, A, B, C as the third, and then A, B, C, D, E flat as the fifth. Then we go to our augmented chord on the third degree. So for our first note in our augmented chord, we need the B flat, C, D, and then B flat, C, D, E, F sharp we need in there. So this chord has not only got flats and sharps within these things. So this starts to confuse people if they haven't studied scales for long. For some people, when they're beginning, it seems like all scales only have sharps or all scales only have flats. As you start to develop a further understanding, you have a bit of both that starts to crop in. Let's go to our fourth degree, where we've got our C minor chord. So we need C as our first degree. We need as our third C, D, E flat. Then we need our G as our fifth. Next chord, we've got our D major. So again, as our first, we're keeping that first note of the chord. So we've got the D. The third, D, E flat, F sharp. So we need the F sharp as the third. And then we need to have our fifth, D, E, F, G, A as the fifth. Now the sixth chord. So the sixth chord is going to be the E flat major. We need the E flat. The third from E flat would be E, F, G, being the third. The fifth, E, F, G, A, B flat. And then we've got that second major chord done. Now the seventh chord in this scale degrees will be the diminished chord. So the diminished chord starts on the F sharp. So we've got that in there. Then we've got our third, F, G, A. And then the fifth would be the C. And then finishing with our last chord, the G minor, and that will be the same as the one we started with. So G minor needs the G, the third being the B flat, the fifth being the D. And then just like with the other example, we've got all of our triads from those chords. Keep an eye on where you're putting the sharps and flat symbols. Okay, you'll notice that when we draw these letters or write these letters down, we're saying B flat, but when we're drawing and notating it, we're notating it as a flat B or a sharp F, but we speak about it as being an F sharp. So bear that in mind whenever you're notating your sharps or flats and keeping it neat. Also think about what line or space these sharps and flats have to go on. Okay, check out one of my other videos to do with key signatures. I go over where you put your sharps and flats on the lines and spaces. Okay, that might be helpful for some people. So for now, we'll leave it there. Hopefully you've been able to learn a little bit about your minor chords in the harmonic minor scale, and remember that the sequence was minor, diminished, augmented, minor, major, major, diminished, minor. Commit that to memory, and hopefully you'll be able to build any of the chords that you need to do. If you found any of this useful, definitely comment below. If you have any other questions, comment below. If you liked any of this content and you want to hear more about it, definitely hit the subscribe so that you can get the notifications about future videos. Thanks for listening.